Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review, your Wednesday night edition. Happy Hump Day. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. You with me, Paul, and Alex tonight, and it's a general Newcastle United news discussion and chat, so we're opening it up to you guys as well. But as usual, do enjoy the show, hit that thumbs up, and of course, if you're new and like what you see, please do subscribe, free to do so, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. And of course, you can support the channel in two ways. First of all, by membership, which is the join button just underneath us. We've got some great prizes coming up soon as well. And of course, super chats are available, which is the $ underneath the live chat. And that will guarantee your comment to be read out live on the show. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Not too bad. On the road to recovery, I hope. Still a bit under the weather?
Still under the weather, but life goes on.
It does indeed. It does indeed. Well, tonight, obviously, we'll touch up on a few Newcastle United stories, but also we're going to go from what you guys say in the chat. If there's anything you want to talk about, put it in the chat, and we'll discuss it as well. It's like an open forum tonight to discuss everything to do with Newcastle United. We've got a couple of stories to discuss and touch upon. The first one is Sean Longstaff, Alex. Now, there's been reports going around, of course, that Sean's contract, we know, ends at the end of this season. And there's been rumours going around that, he could go on a free transfer, etc. However, the reports are suggesting that Newcastle United will offer him a new contract, an extension. Now, this can be taken in two ways. One, they want to keep him at the club. And two, if he does leave, they want to get a fee for him. They don't want him just to walk out the door for nothing.
Yeah, I think it's important we keep Sean just as part of the squad and to have somebody around, because trying to replace Sean with somebody that's happy being a rotation option when Tonali inevitably steps into that role permanently is not easy. Trying to get somebody who's happy to play second fiddle and be rotation for a reasonable price is not going to happen at all. And Sean is free. He's from the academy, reasonable wages, understands the system and the club. Is he going to win us trophies starting week in, week out? No. Is he good enough to be part of the overall squad? Absolutely he is. And I think anybody who disputes that, I don't want to be mean, but yeah, we're not at the level where we can be Man City and have a world-class player, as a backup. It's not feasible. It's not doable yet. Maybe in 6, 7, 8 years, possibly. Even that might not be long enough to be able to do that. There's building a title challenging 11, and then there's building a squad that's like Man City's. It takes years and years and years and years. So Sean makes sense to be kept. There's no reason to be getting rid of Sean. And I think this leans into kind of what Paul Mitchell was referencing as well. I think the media have completely taken everything out of context with this whole civil war nonsense. I think it's an absolute joke. I completely agree with Paul Mitchell. I think long term, nothing was fit for purpose at all. Just because some of the signings for the first team were positive and Minte worked out doesn't mean that everything was dandy, because it wasn't. In terms of the recruitment, we were in a PSR nightmare on June the 30th. So obviously not everything was done properly, because we had to start offering out Isak and Gordon. So
good point.
Obviously there were problems. And then on top of that, academy improvements, giving players contracts that maybe shouldn't have got contract extensions, like Miggy with a purple patch extension. Was that justified? Maybe not. And trying to shift players. That I don't think our loans have worked very well. Minte at Feyenoord is probably the only loan that was positive that I can recall in the last 3 years. We've not sent anyone else out on loan and gone, oh, that went really well. So the
positive
loans,
for Brighton as well, really. But we get no positivity from it. There is a poll up saying, would you offer Sean a new contract? Now, of course, think about this. Just don't think about the way he's playing. Think about what he can offer. And of course, not walking out the door for free in the summer. I don't think Sean wants that either, being a Newcastle lad anyway. But get voting, because it is an interesting question, and I'm fascinated to see what you guys think, because obviously we have to think of getting money in the end for him if we do, want to sell him. But the problem, of course, is who is going to buy him. But we'll come on to that in a second. Cushy says, Paul, just a thought on the team picture at the start during the Rise music. Why is the only player not happy Gordon? Well, I'll look. I took those photos from the Newcastle. The website, where you go into the team. And now when you hover over the players this season, most of them do their goal scoring signature move. So when you move over Anthony Gordon, nothing happens. So what I think has happened there is Gordon might have been away when these pictures were taken. So they've just basically got him a photo in a Newcastle shirt and stuck it on the website as one of the team squad. I wouldn't read much into that at all. He's just standing there in his Newcastle shirt. No, he's not smiling, but certainly don't read anything into that. It's just all those photos were taken from the website, the Newcastle United team. Most of them do have sort of, when you hover your mouse over them, they change to that goal scoring move, but there's a couple of them don't. So I don't read too much into that. But on Baz says, good comment, Alex. Trevor says he's on the fence with Sean. I like him, but to keep him for the next few years, I don't like. I think we need better. Steve says, I'm perfectly happy for him to stay on sensible wages. Trained a club player, which we need in Europe, and he's perfectly fine as a squad player with semi-regular sub-appearances. KB, good evening to you. Do you think this is coming from Mitchell or Howe?
What about Sean?
About Sean, I don't know.
Probably both.
Yeah, but I think it's just a generalization as well, Alex, because, let's be fair. Newcastle don't want to lose anybody for nothing.
I mean, it's win-win giving him a new contract, isn't it? Just losing him on a free is poor, because then we lose a Premier League level player, and people might argue about whether he's Premier League level. Okay, he is. Where you put him in the league is down to personal preference and opinion. But if we let's say we give Sean a 3-year contract now, it means we didn't have to spend a transfer fee for him. We get somebody who already understands everything about the club. And if somebody comes sniffing, we can sell him for a transfer fee. And he seems to be happy. Well, he probably isn't happy being a rotation option. I'm sure he'd love to be a first-team player and play all the time.
Yeah.
But he's not stupid. He can see what Tonali and Bruno are like. He's got to fight for that place to earn a start. And I think it would cause more headaches to get rid of him, because then I'd
do as well.
We'd need someone else.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna fast track Lewis Miley, bring Jamie Miley straight back in, and just hope that is perfect straight away? Do we then go and have to spend 20, 25 to go and put someone else in Sean's shoes? It just doesn't make sense. Just give him a contract, and he's not going to play loads.
True. Billy.
Good evening.
Are we in an igloo tonight?
Cable issues, mate. Cable issues.
I mean, you're looking very...
Well, it's cold. Yeah, I'm cold, yeah.
I mean, that's some polo neck you're wearing there, Billy. I mean, it's...
100%, yeah.
Turpy says, Longy is a great option off the bench. Definitely give him a new deal for depth. John says, keep Sean 100%. It will cost like 30 million to replace him. Laura says, Howe definitely wants to keep him. Media always searching for stories that don't exist, making most of it up. Andy says, if Longstaff has anything about him, he'll refuse a new deal and make a fortune in the summer when he's a free agent. Wouldn't blame him considering how much grief he gets from our fan base. I don't think he reads into anything the fans say. I think he just gets on with his job, to be honest. Look, I think Alex made a good point there. I think Sean will know. Looking at the players that we have in midfield, Sean will know he's not a guaranteed starter, or at least shouldn't be. However, I think he does have a squad place. I definitely do. Maybe, to give somebody a rest in the cup games, or, come on as substitute in the second half to just tighten up the defense to go on and win a game, things like that. He's got his uses, definitely. And, I know we haven't seen Sean play well actually, he has started the season very well, but he's taken a step back. Billy, we're just talking about Sean Longstaff, and, obviously his contract running out in the summer. Reports yesterday suggesting that Newcastle may offer him a new deal, mainly so they don't lose him for nothing in the summer.
Well, he's homegrown, isn't he? And if we want to get to European football, for that reason alone, he's worth paying money for. Giving him an extension of his contract.
Yeah.
He's never going to be a world beater, but as Statter just said, he knows the system. He's been here for years. He knows exactly how the club runs. The bench player to come on and replace players as tired or are injured. Definitely worth keeping. 100%.
Yeah, Nick makes a good point there. Longstaff will fall further down the pecking order once Miley is back from injury. Longstaff's chances will be few and far between. Miley's coming through, Alex, and that is going to be tough for Sean as well, because I guess, are they different players? It's going to be competition again. And of course, when Jamie Miley comes back from his loan spell, he was very promising at the start of the season. There's going to be an awful lot of competition in there.
I think Jamie Miley had a very different skill set. Lewis Miley specifically, I don't think Sean's in any danger, in any immediate danger. Although Lewis Miley clearly had some really cool features to his game for such a young age, he's got miles left to go. There were so many holes in his game with positional awareness and transitional tracking while we're on defensive transitions. And although I say that, our current midfield had a problem with that at the weekend, but never mind.
We did.
Yeah, there's a lot for him to learn. He's still young. He's still going to grow into his own body. There's loads more for him to develop. So I don't think it's even a conversation. I think it's kind of irrelevant. And I don't think Lewis Miley would or could kick up too much of a stink until he starts to learn that game. You know, Lewis Hall's been given this treatment. So, Lewis Miley got the minutes because he was showing some great potential and doing the business on the pitch. And we had crazy amounts of injuries. That's why he got the opportunity. So it's not just a given that because Lewis happened to spray a couple of 60-yard passes around and looked quite silky, you've still got he needs to develop, he needs to get his head down, which I'm sure he will, because he was fantastic when he was playing. But it's not just a God-given right that as soon as Lewis Miley comes in, he is the chosen one. He has to do the business, because although Sean seems to only be able to get into third gear, it's generally third gear. It gives us third gear quite consistently. So at least you know what you're going to get. Yeah, when you compare Sean to, what are the other who are our rivals this season for trying to get sort of between top 4 and 7? Like what is it? Sort of Man United, Villa, Spurs.
Brighton,
who are there?
Brighton will kick around as well, I think.
Well, who are their versions of Sean Longstaff? So Man United have got what? Mason Mount? Is maybe he the Sean Longstaff of Man United?
Well, he was playing on the right when he started the season, but he's injured again now.
So reliability, Sean's beating him on that. Spurs, who's the Sean Longstaff of Spurs?
Well, it is a good point, and it's a good point on the, yeah. It's a good point on the on the injuries as well. He is, he had that massive injury, but he's been pretty reliable. For the last couple of years, hasn't he? He's been available. Although, he did say that ankle injury that he got at Everton, he shouldn't have been playing when he was, but we had no players. It's just the way it goes. A lot of people asking about Garang Kuol in the chat. He's still injured. I believe he's got a knee injury. But listen, Garang Kuol isn't going to pull up any trees. I think we know that now. We've loaned him to various places and it just hasn't worked for him. And certainly when he made a brief, he played in Australia, didn't he, in the second game? We know how that went. Steve C says Hall was another howler. The guy is nowhere near Premier League standard.
I saw that comment when he first put it. That is an outrageous comment. I urge you to back that up.
I was just going to say, Steve, that's your opinion, but Go on to tell us why. Why do you think that's a howler? And why do you think he's nowhere near Premier League standard? Let us know, and then we can obviously open up and talk about it. Julie says Sean Longstaff is a squad player at best. George says, notice the powers that be gave Aston Villa an easy Champions League group with only buy-in of any note, unlike Newcastle, who got the group of death. It's all changed now in the Champions League.
I did feel a little bit frustrated that their first fixture is bloody young boys. It's like, okay. Ours is Milan and PSG. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Francisco, good evening. Hope you're well, my friend. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're okay, mate. A 1-year extension only with the aim to move him. Hope you guys are doing well. I have a lot to say, but I'll save it for another day. Well, come on the show on Friday in the fan forum, Francisco. Would love to see you, and you can have a lot to say. It's open for you. The only other thing is, Billy, I mean, if we did try and sell him, where or who would be interested in Sean Longstaff? Given, I mean, look, other managers may look at Sean and think, yeah, he's a very decent player. But from the fan base point of view, it's very different. But where would he go?
I don't know. I really don't know. He probably work well at an Everton, something like that.
I think there's loads of teams he'd work at.
An Everton, that kind of team. So someone that plays as workhorse, someone who doesn't play too much football. An Ipswich.
Southampton for me would be a
Southampton, Forest.
Any newly promoted club.
Yeah. And let's not forget.
Bournemouth would probably suit there with his rattiness.
Yeah, could be. But the thing is about Sean, he's got incredible experience as well. So I think you're right what you're saying about a promoted club, because I think a promoted club would look at Sean Longstaff and say, fantastic experience. And he'll definitely have got leadership qualities from his time in the Newcastle dressing room, being around different managers, different players. So he could bring a lot to a promoted side. Ab says, I noticed that Guardiola would play players whose contracts are up for renewal. Might explain Longstaff getting starts currently. Yes, I think Pep does that a lot with players who are coming at the end. He wants to have a good look at them again and make decisions. Yvonne says Sean has limitations. However, if he's happy as a squad player, he will always give 100% when he's called upon. William says, love Longstaff, proper Geordie, but championship player.
No, that's harsh. Have you seen some of the dross at the bottom end of the Premier League?
Yeah, I think he's a Premier League player. Listen, I know I've given him a lot of shit. I know I have. And look, when we do the match reviews, that is based on that match. And if he doesn't play well, fine well on this channel, we're as honest as it comes, and we will say it. Whether people want to say, oh, you're negative or not, I don't give a damn, quite honestly. It is based on that match. And, it's an honest opinion. Peter says, surely it's coming from Eddie since he loves playing him week in and week out. I just think it could be a generalization. I don't think it's really come. I'm not sure it's actually even come from the club, to be honest. I think it's just a generalization that maybe we do have to offer him a new contract so we can avoid him leaving for free, because let's face it, money is very, important these days in the Premier League with PSR and all that garbage that goes with it. And as it says, Sean Longstaff is worth keeping as a squad player. When I take my skeptical spectacles off, Sean is a massive cog in the NUFC motor.
He was the year we finished fourth. I mean, whenever he wasn't playing, we got. I'll never forget the Villa away game where we got absolutely bumped 3-0. Yeah. And that was a game where we had no Longstaff. Everyone else in midfield.
Well, we did say as well, didn't we? We did say that during his absence, he was missed, and Bruno missed him more than anybody. So, he does have his importance.
Well, I went on a run after the Wolves game saying he's a bit of a scapegoat at the moment. There's nothing wrong with saying Sean Longstaff is a good player. That's a perfectly valid opinion. It's one, and because good is a reasonable metric. Good just means positive. He's a good player. He plays for a team that finish in the top half of the best league in the world. Like, he is a good player. That's fair to say. Is he going to be a starter that wins us trophies and qualify for the Champions League? No, I think that's also fair to say. So there's nothing wrong with valuing Sean's contribution as a player.
But there's also nothing wrong with saying that if he hasn't played well in a game, you say he hasn't played well. There's nothing wrong with both sides of the coin.
You don't have to have two. It's the same as like our centre halves. You know, you can have a ball playing centre half that can hit it from 30 yards like Fabian Schär, and you can have a different kind of centre half that's a big tree that just swats everything away. It doesn't mean one's wrong and the other one's right. It's a different profile of player in that position. Sean has his uses. And he is a good player. I think people need to be careful about just throwing everyone under the bus constantly. Like it takes a lot for me to throw a player under the bus. I think Gillespie deserves it purely because he just doesn't play.
Who?
And Lascelles of old deserved it, but has since redeemed himself and massively improved his football and his technical quality. It's still, I don't think he's at the caliber we need, but massive hats off to his improvement in his overall game. You know, we're going to need these players. We can't be constantly having these conversations as fans. We need to grow together and learn about football, because we're going to have squad players in 5 years and 10 years. We can't just be throwing everyone under the bus when we lose a game. We will lose games every season. We will probably lose 5 to 10 games most seasons. We can't just jump ship as soon as that happens. Like, we don't want to become what we've hated all these years, which is a Manchester United fan.
And let's not forget, guys, Sean Longstaff played a pivotal role in our journey to the Carabao Cup final. He scored some important goals, and he was a mainstay in that middle of the park. And you know, so listen, I'd love to see Sean back to his very, very best. I'm not sure we're ever going to see it, but as a squad player, I definitely think we should keep him, because listen, a squad isn't built up of 100% world-class players. You can't do that. You know, Man City have done it, but they could be. We'll talk about Man City later on.
20 years.
Yeah, it's a long time. But anyway, let's have a look at the poll to see where you guys stand on it. I asked everybody, offer Longstaff a new deal, simply yes or no. 66% said yes, offer him a new deal. 33% said no. 34%. It still doesn't make 100%, but there you go.
I would love a contingency plan from the 33% that voted no. What would you do? Okay, fine. Hypothetically, we don't offer Sean a new contract. What do we now do? Because we have to replace him. If the answer is just, Lewis Miley can just do all of it, I think that's naive. I think that's
putting a lot of pressure on Lewis Miley as well, because you know there's certain things that Longstaff does and Miley can't do. I think Sean's engine, for one, is and stamina is very important. You know, he gives everything. Whether it's good or bad, he gives everything he can possibly give in every time he plays for Newcastle United. But like I say, sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes he has bad games. But you can never turn around and say Sean's not trying, because I would take anyone on who said he wasn't trying. I think he's, I get very frustrated because I've seen him play brilliantly, and then now
Trevor says we can get free agents. Well, no, we can't though, because Rabiot was available, who just wanted stupid money and went to Marseille. They're not always going to be better, are they? You can't just. It's not FIFA. You can't. It's not a football game. You can't just go and pluck the appropriate free agent. Look how hard it's been for us to navigate the free agent market in the last 4 years. Yeah. We've been trash at that. We've been so bad at using the free agent market. We've done it once successfully.
Maybe that will change under Mitchell, though. Maybe.
Well, this is another point that Paul Mitchell's right on, is we are bad at quite a lot of the runnings of the club in that regard. We've not been very good at free transfers. Some of the free transfers that have been picked up in the last few years have been fantastic. Yeah. We've taken advantage of none of it, really.
Then what's the news about Andy Carroll?
What?
Bordeaux.
He's gone to Bordeaux. There's a fourth division who are now in the fourth tier of French football, with the option of being a coach at the end of his contract.
Hey, good on him.
He's gone with Amadou Diallo as well, that we just released.
Yeah.
So it's like a little
Bordeaux. I know what happened with Bordeaux, but they've got a pretty strong side in that fourth division. they've got some decent players there.
It's like a French version of what happened to Rangers.
To Rangers, yeah, exactly the same. And listen, we wish Bordeaux well. It was just tragic. They've got a big history, and hopefully they can get back. But good on Andy Carroll. Going out there and he'll have a laugh, but he'll have a good time. But the fact that coaching opportunity, hey,
can you imagine being like a 5'10", 5'11" French centre half in the 4th division, and you rock up for your weekend game?
Rock up with Andy Carroll. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not. That will not be easy. Ian Toon Trader, thank you for your super chat, buddy. Who would we sign instead of Sean for the bench? Exactly. There's not that many Sean Longstaffs out there. I mean, Joe Bentley says we should sign Conor Gallagher to replace Longstaff.
But they would want. He's at a Champions League club right now that are challenging for La Liga. They would ask for 40, 50 mil for him minimum. To replace Sean, it would be so expensive.
Foxy says, beautiful place, Bordeaux, not the worst place to live for Andy Carroll. Little story on that. Susan bought me one of those, these mystery holiday things for a birthday once. And when we sort of found out, it was Bordeaux. We didn't go. I don't know what happened, why we couldn't go, but we didn't go. But it does sound like a lovely city.
Isn't that when you fell down the stairs?
Yeah, possibly. Move on. Ab says, if some of our fan base had been in charge, we would now have a midfield consisting of Dele Alli, Lingard, Alvarez, and Diaby.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Now, this next story is laughable, okay? But it was in the Mirror, and Alex is nodding his head because he knows what I'm going to say.
Ridiculous.
It's the most ridiculous thing I have heard in a long time. Billy, I don't know whether you've seen this.
I hope he hasn't, because I want to get his live reaction.
Yes.
The
Daily Mirror are reporting that Everton manager Sean Dyche is going to come in and swoop for Nick Pope in January to replace Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And your thoughts?
No chance Nick Pope leaves Newcastle United to go to Everton.
Well, by January, Everton could be rooted at the bottom of the league with no hope in hell. And why would Sean Dyche? I know he's worked with Nick Pope, of course, at Burnley, but why would he ever think that Nick Pope, certainly the way Newcastle are, and hopefully will still be at the top end of the table, why on earth would Nick Pope move to a relegation-threatened Everton? And why would Sean Dyche believe in his own mind that he could go and get Nick Pope?
It's odd. It's very odd.
Maybe he's got a fusion machine and he's going to try and mix Pickford and Pope together so that Pope has some kicking ability and some reflexes with long arms. He's going to make a super goalkeeper. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Nick says there, these reporters are not even trying to hide their dislike for us. It's fucking pathetic.
Right, about Martin Ziegler's MI6 story, that nonsense.
That as well. What the hell?
As soon as we're suddenly unbeaten in the league, quick, drop a negative story as quick as you can.
MI6. I liked one Newcastle fan. I saw it on one of the social media sites. Put this thing of sort of a James Bond silhouette on over sort of St James's Park as well, and I think it was Daniel Craig's James Bond, and I had to laugh because I'm thinking, where next? Where next for these reporters? Nick Pope to Everton is as far-fetched as you're ever going to get, right? And then they come out with MI6 had a say in the Newcastle United takeover. It's just, they just try and put this dark cloud over our club all the time. And I think you're right, Alex. It's because of where we are in the league. It's mental. Laura's asking there, would anyone swap Nick Pope for Jordan Pickford?
No.
That's a very
I think Jordan Pickford's a better goalkeeper, but the fact of the matter is he's a dirty mackerel, so absolutely no chance.
Let's talk about that. Is Jordan Pickford a better goalkeeper than Nick Pope? I mean, I think they're both very good. Yeah, I think they're very, very good shot stoppers, both of them. I think we should do a poll on that, you know. I mean, the problem is
there's going to be too much bias.
There's going to be a lot of bias. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, look, Nick Pope can't kick, right? I think we all know that. His distribution from kicking is not great, right? Jordan Pickford's distribution, for me, is better. I think he's got a better kick on him for certain. But it's. I mean, look, they're both international goalkeepers. So, I mean,
it's a ridiculous thing at the moment, anyway, because we don't have any good backup goalkeepers, according to Eddie Howe. And I know he's not specifically said this, but his refusal of including Lacademos in matchday squads would suggest he doesn't want to use him. And Dubravka, Exhibit A was the end of last season, was atrocious in goal. It was not even remotely good enough. In fact, I'm pretty sure I saved something that I'll show it on a show at some point. There was some goalkeeping experts had written an article, and Nick Pope's was like the worst goalkeeping statistics in the league for the stint he was in goal for. It was dross. So Dubravka and Vlachodimos is a not Premier League standard, apparently. Plus, who are the other backups? Ruddy. Is Ruddy Premier League standard? Probably not. I think if it's a fair guess. I mean, maybe that's doing him a disservice there. And Gillespie, well, I mean, I think he'd struggle to get into the League One side personally, but that's based on the 2 games I've seen him play in the last 4 years.
Right, I've put a poll up. Who is now? Read the question, guys, because it says who is the all-round better goalkeeper. So this includes shot stopping, goal kicks, coming for crosses, the whole goalkeeping aspect of it. Take your Newcastle glasses off and your hatred for Mackham. Be sensible about it and have a think. Who is the better all-round goalkeeper? Is it Nick Pope or is it Jordan Pickford? Let's see what the viewers come back with. Andy says fusing together Nick Pope and Pickford probably end up with a keeper with 2 peg legs and a T-Rex arm.
It could go wrong, couldn't it? He ends up with shorter arms and just terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Evans says Pickford is the better keeper, hence him being first choice for England. The fact is, Billy, I mean, you've said this a lot of times, you know, he without thinking of him being from Sunderland or whatever. And remember, he did say his favourite place to play was St James's Park. He has never let England down.
No, I agree. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. Any goalkeeper look pull behind that Everton back four with the pace of a asthmatic snail in it. You know, the Tarkovskis and people like that who are slightly over the top and slow when they're in the peak. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Alex has put a graphic up for the 2 goalkeepers.
It's not the best graphic because it's just cherry picked stuff from FBref, but it's the best they'll give us in this graph. So you've got save percentage of Nick Pope at the moment is considerably higher, which is quite a biggie. And there's a few kind of stats in here that are irrelevant, like average pass length. Well, yeah, because Everton go long a lot more, so that kind of doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but is that successful, Alex? You know, is that attempted or is that successful?
I mean, I can tell you because it will tell me the definition here. Average length of goal kicks in yards. No, so it's irrelevant. Unfortunately, it doesn't show us the sweeper keeper stuff. So average distance of defensive actions and defensive actions outside of penalty area. So 1.5 times a game, Nick Pope does a sweeper keeper action at an average distance of 15.5 yards. If I go back to Pickford.
Yeah, but if you looked at that, is Jordan Pickford's pass completion rate was better.
Pickford actually sweeps more and further out. Hang on, let's go back to the thing. There it is.
I think he has to with that back four.
With a back four, yeah. His pass completion percentage is
of
better.
Launched. So that's
launched, yeah.
Long kicks.
We saw that at St James last year. He was outstanding, wasn't he, with his long kicking last year?
Yeah.
Crosses stopped percentage. Nick Pope's got him on that, but again, he's got a better reach, hasn't he? So average length of goal kicks though is about the same. But yeah, I think it's a combination of Jordan Pickford's a better kicker and he's got better players to aim for that are going to stick a bit more. Yeah. You know, because doing long kicks to Isak, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are; they're not going to stick, are they?
Well, any goalkeeper in the world could plant one right on his head, and still it wouldn't be classed as a completing. He just doesn't jump. Tony Bootneck says Paul can't.
Paul can't. Refuses to elaborate.
Yeah,
I agree, Tony.
Joe's asking if you can compare stats between the goalkeepers. Well, you've just seen it. Lars says the previous gang dealing with transfers led to us not selling any players last January, while fully aware we had to make up 40 to 50 million for PSR, which led to us having to sell 2 big prospects.
This is my exact point about when Paul Mitchell says it's not fit for purpose. That's why. It's like the kids ran into the sweet shop and spent all the money, and then they've not got the money for the shopping they were meant to go and get, and they went, oh whoops. Well, yeah, you can't just go, but they got loads of really tasty sweets and they bought loads of fantastic players. Yeah, but we've got a massive financial problem now.
Yeah.
We can't just ignore that happened. Like it's a problem.
There's got to be blame somewhere. Listen, I'm right behind Paul Mitchell. I don't think he's trying to cause any problems. I think he's just been honest, and maybe it's about time that we had somebody at that sort of position who is going to be honest and tell it how it is, whether people like it or not. I think
curious. I'm so curious how this went. Did Amanda and Mehrdad just used to go to bed at, like, in February, March, April? Did they just used to go to bed going, "That's fine. Somebody will buy Miggy and Callum. Don't worry about it. We'll sort it." Is that what happened?
They obviously thought something was going to happen, didn't they? Because I don't think they would have deliberately have left it like that. I think they must have been under the belief that something was going to happen.
Well, maybe Callum Wilson wasn't injured when they were thinking they were going to sell him, but he was injured since last March.
So I'm sorry, but if you're sat down at a business meeting,
depending on
Callum Wilson being fit for a sale.
Yeah. Atticus says Pope is the main reason why we win the Premier League this season. Well, I like your confidence, mate. Clude says Isak wasn't in training today. If he's out for Saturday, do you think Asula starts? Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow, because obviously we do the match preview tomorrow for the Fulham game. So be there at 7:00, and we'll go through all our usual match preview stuff with stats and graphics and team selections and where he goes with it. But it should be... I noticed that, I did hear that Isak wasn't in training today. So, look, if he's got any kind of concussion, he won't play. He won't be anywhere near the squad. Pains me to say, says Scott, but Pickford is better overall. Pickford does a lot of silly mistakes and is far too cocky on the ball. I understand what you mean by cocky, but I quite like that. I think I'd rather see somebody like that than a little bit in the shell and not very vocal. I think one thing about Jordan Pickford is he's very vocal, and if he feels someone needs to be bollocked, he does it. Really,
I prefer like N'Golo Kante's. I hate like a Sergio Ramos character. I'd prefer to have.
But do you not need a bit of both on the side, Alex? Do you not need that type of character?
But like your Messis and your N'Golo Kante's, players that are so talented and happy, that they're just so emotionally above anything else, they can just brush it off. Like Joe Linton just got so affected by drama and nonsense that it hurt his game. I'd prefer we just had players that were so dedicated to their football and professionalism that they can just transcend any just tit for tat nonsense on the pitch, and they can just play ball. That's what Kante can do, and it's what Messi does and has done forever. And I think Bruno's got a little bit of that about him. He just enjoys football. He just goes into that mode. It doesn't really matter who he's playing with or who's against. I'd prefer to I get what you mean. It does also work that way. Sergio Ramos won a lot of trophies, so you can be both ways. I prefer the niceness.
Roy Keane was in that mold, and he certainly won a lot of trophies.
You've got to be good to be able to carry that kind of shithousery thing off.
Yeah, you've got to have that stature, don't you? You know, you've got to be a winner, a proven winner.
No point being shite and doing it, like say Robbie Savage, for instance.
Well, yes. Yvonne says, let's all calm down. Dyche wants Pope, but who says Pickford wants the Toon? Nah, it isn't happening. Well, nobody's saying Pickford come. He said that Everton.
Never take him.
He said that the report said that he wants to move Pickford on. He didn't say where. He wants to bring Nick Pope to Everton. Never suggested once that it was a swap deal or anything like that. He just said it wanted Pope to move on to another club. So
it won't happen in January. It won't happen in January.
Nah, I don't think it would happen at all, Billy, because Nick Pope is not going to give up an opportunity once again to certainly try and get into Europe. We all know we haven't played well this season, but we're sitting joint second in the Premier League, unbeaten on 10 points. And I think once we do click into gear, I think we're joint second, Alex.
Arsenal have a better goal difference than us. We're third.
Do you know what?
I'm really sorry, but we're third. It'll mean more if we actually are second.
They'll even be above us on alphabetical order, wouldn't they? Because even if it was
well, yes, they would. But damn you, Alex! Don't take this away, man. What are you doing?
We've got to earn it.
Well, we'll see. I've totally threw off what I was going to say there. The Black and White Sheep says no, they just expected Bruno's release clause was going to be triggered. Oh, good point.
But is that not negligent as well? Just hoping that things are going to go their way.
Good point, Peter. I don't think Dyche will be in charge at Everton in January if it keeps going the way it's going. Especially getting 2-goal leads and throwing them away two games in a row. That very rarely happens. The fact that it's Everton is absolutely hilarious. But I mean, do you see Dyche still being there in January, guys? Let's be honest about this.
What's that?
I don't think they can afford to sack him, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what his contract. I don't know.
If anybody's going to turn it around, it's him, isn't it? So, their upcoming fixtures, they've got Leicester away, Palace at Goodison Park, and then they've got us. We play them at Goodison Park on the 5th of October. So the next 3 fixtures is Leicester, Palace, and us. And then they've got Ipswich. So this is their run to try and turn this around. They've got, pre-Christmas, they've got Leicester, Palace, Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton. They've got a lot of the lower half teams. So if they haven't sort of start of November, if they're not looking safe, I mean, they've got to do something.
I mean, they played a very strong side in their Carabao last night in the Carabao Cup, and they lost on penalties. And what made that even better was Ashley Young was the one that missed the penalty. So, I thought that might make Billy laugh. Foxy says Everton back 4 is so bad. Pickford has no chance to look decent in that team. Ashley Young, Michael Keane are still regulars. I read or heard on the radio that despite the fact that Tarkowski and Keane were a double act at Burnley, weren't they? They've only played 2 or 3 times together in the Everton starting lineup.
I think it's happening this season more, isn't it? Because Branthwaite's out, isn't he?
Well,
Branthwaite needs to play. He's got to come back, otherwise they're down.
But they've still got Seamus Coleman one side, Ashley Young the other. I mean, a combined age of 2,030 years, isn't it?
Mixing players together there. Ashley Cole, he's long retired. Ashley Young cannot play anymore this season, or they're gone as well. He has to cut ties with 2 or 3 of those, or they're just done.
But have they got strength in depth? That's a question.
They've got Mikalenko, haven't they? He's better than Ashley Young, isn't he? Of course, almighty.
Well, he's coming for some criticism as well. Clone Lad, who's been a member for 21 months, thank you for your support, mate. Newcastle v Everton, last game of the season, could be amazing.
Oh, what? So we play them in October and then not again until May?
I'm sure we'll play them last game of the season,
yeah. That'll be at St. James's as well.
It is.
That would be hilarious if they'd be relegated, because that's the last
place. Can you imagine?
It'd be even funnier if we'd actually sent them down.
Oh.
Sob on the Mersey.
And Pickford was playing.
Oh no.
Well, let's face it. If Everton went down, Pickford wouldn't stay, would he? I mean, he'd be. But that new stadium as well.
He'd still have a relegation in the CV. They wouldn't if he was still there. If he didn't leave in January.
I tell you what. I'll make a prediction now. I'll make a prediction. The Mackhams to get promoted and him to jump ship from Everton and go back to Sunderland as they come up and pass each other.
I'd rather Everton stayed up.
Yeah, so would
I don't know. I kind of miss the derby, guys.
What about that season?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be good to smash them every year now?
One in the row, one on the trot.
One on the trot, yeah. I mean, they still live on that, don't they? Right, results of the poll. 65% said Nick Pope. 35% said Jordan Pickford.
Definite Macron bias in there, no doubt about that.
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Would we take any Everton players? Oh,
do you know what? I don't think there is.
Decore, if it was 3 years ago, not now.
Yeah, but we're talking about now, Alex. Not like
Branthwaite's the only one, isn't he?
Branthwaite, yeah.
Branthwaite. I mean, Armando Broya's there. I probably wouldn't take him now. No, I wouldn't take anyone.
I think that I genuinely think they were in deep crap this season. Well, let's talk about the Man City case, shall we? Because there's a lot of rumours coming in that I mean, there was a guy on the radio. I don't know whether it was last week or what, but he thinks that Manchester City could be in for between a 90 and 120 point deduction rather than a fine. Now,
that's fine.
I don't know. He didn't know when this was going to happen, though, because even if they're found guilty, okay, on these 115 charges, it has to go then to another independent, whoever it is, to work out what punishment they get. So it could be, even if they're found guilty in the court, it could be another God knows how long until, they're getting a point deduction. But they could end up, I mean, look, for me, it has to be more like, what's going to hurt them most, a points deduction or relegation to the bottom league in the pyramid? The
points deduction that's that big, though, is only going to send them down one league, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you get a big points deduction like that, they're just going to go down one league. They can bounce back straight away. But what happened? Look what happened to Rangers. They went down to I'm not saying boot them out the Football League and put them in the conference. What I'm saying is put them into
them. I honestly don't think it'd hurt them that much. I know that's crazy to say, but I think if you put Man City in the Championship on purpose, I think they put a positive PR spin on that and they make something out of it. I think they say to all of their players, they go, look, stay with us. Everyone gets a pay bump. Everyone gets a this. Everyone gets a that. We'll make a big jolly out of it. We'll absolutely batter the Championship. We'll promote it all over the world and we'll go straight back up and done. Job's a good one. It was a bit of a laugh. Everything's orders restored. I don't think it'd hurt them that much. They'd lose a lot of prize money, but they could even try and push into commercial deals and make it a bit funny. They could try and make a thing out of it because of how absurd it is. It'd be like if it happened to Real Madrid. People would still watch Real Madrid. They'd be like, "Oh, this is funny. Let's watch Real Madrid against Division."
Well, I
2.
mean, Rangers still got a full, they still got a full house at Ibrox in the lowest league. I mean, what would you do, Billy? I mean, you can't give them a fine. Is nothing to this football club, as we know. If Newcastle got a fine, it'd be nothing to our owners. So they're in the same sort of boat. It just wouldn't affect them. Just to the Championship, like Alex has just said. That wouldn't hurt them either. What would you do?
Well, you'd have to take all the trophies they've won in the meantime off them. So your Champions Leagues, your leagues, whatever. Take them away. That'd be the first thing you'd have to do if they were found guilty, which I don't think they probably will be. And then they get the 100-point deduction, I guess, relegated league. I don't know. I don't think you can actually send them out of the league. I don't think that's fair on the fans, to be honest. It's not the fans' fault, is it? The real Man City fans, that is.
Well, no, but it wasn't the Rangers fans' fault either.
The core 30,000. Well, no, it wasn't. The core 30,000 used to go to Main Road every week. That's the real fans.
Yeah, but they can't look around and say, "Oh, we can't do that because the fans won't be happy or the fans don't deserve it."
No.
This is the football club we're talking about, and this is going to be a big news story. If they are guilty, I think we'll find out just how much of a cartel club Man City are.
I don't want them to be guilty. I don't want them to, because if they're not guilty, that opens up the door for us to do it.
Good point.
Yeah, but the horse has already bolted with a lot of that stuff. I don't think it's
Well, they can't not if they they're found not guilty on something like that, and we do the same thing.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think Manchester City, I think they aren't one of the. I mean, I don't think. I think you actually agree with this, Billy, that they're not one of the main cartel clubs here. I think that, we're talking about Man United, we're talking about Liverpool, we're talking about Tottenham, Arsenal. Man City haven't really, put the boot in as such as the other clubs have. But Manchester City got rich at the right time. We all know that they got rich at the very right time but they built slowly as well. It's not like they didn't do it overnight. So I'm not sure where I stand in it, or do I feel sorry for them? Probably the fans, like you say, Billy. If they are found guilty and they are relegated, then yes, it's a hard pill to swallow for the fans. But at the same time, they have to show that they are going to strongly punish clubs for whatever they're charged.
Do you know the best way for them to deal with this, in my opinion, and there's been a few theories about this, is redistribute money to the other teams in the league, whether it's prize money, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's broadcasting revenue, is a redistribution of X amount of years to other clubs in the league. Mm-hmm. And other clubs that were in the Premier League 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's sort of a weird version of parachute payments. Just help everyone else financially as a punishment to City, because then at least it's going to make it more competitive everywhere else, to a point. But that gets difficult as well.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because I mean, look, you're getting a lot of Man United fans and that's relegate them down to the conference and all of this. And
of course they are, while they're ignoring their own misgivings.
Well, yeah, somebody just mentioned that in the chat about the COVID little escape that Manchester United got. John Adams, thank you for your super chat. Any news on the earlier Man City case? Just talking about it there, John. Nothing really. Jens, thank you for your super chat. He says, I hope they win because Pool and Scums will cry. I mean,
I hope they win.
Would the Premier League be a better place without Manchester City?
No, not really, because then you'd have Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal. Well, Man United would certainly be happy, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And, when you've seen, the votes for various things in the past, like I say, Man City haven't put the boot in, like a Tottenham have or a Liverpool have, etc. Manchester United, for me, they've got away with blue murder, but the Premier League bend over backwards for them on a consistent basis.
And Chelsea.
And Chelsea, yes. Sorry, I forgot about Chelsea. The stuff they've got away with in the last couple of years, selling hotels to themselves to cover PSR. I mean, ridiculous. Absolutely shocking. I like coffee. Sorry, man?
I was just going to say that was luck through timing as well, because we were really unfortunate. We weren't, fortunate or unfortunate, depends how you look at it. If we'd have hung on to our top finishes a bit longer, we would have been in that bracket. Because sort of early 2000s, we were in the sort of European competitions. We were challenging at the top end of that bracket when Bobby Robson was at the club. If we could have held on for another 5 years, stayed around that kind of top 4, top 5, we would have been in this. We would have been the beneficiaries of everything that's happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
we just kind of fell off at the worst time we could have done.
It was literally the worst time. We fell off exactly the same time as Abramovich came in. Exactly the same time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. We will not hear anything until the appeals happen or they're won. Well, no, they have to announce it. They have to, they have to come out and say if they're guilty or not. So we will hear. If they appeal, then fair enough. Which I have a feeling if they lose, they will appeal.
Of course.
Paul says, I feel so sorry for Manchester City. Philip says, so Man City get out of jail free card once already established. The Toon break PSR once and the hammer comes down and makes an example. Fact.
I agree with that. I just think we've got to be so careful.
Yeah. I mean, they are just waiting to pounce on us.
They will.
We know that. We know that. Yeah. Dan says, I'd rather win the league against a full-strength City than get it because of a legal fallout. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was reading a couple of days ago that obviously if, like Billy says, they got the trophies taken off them, then, Liverpool get a title. Some other teams will get titles. And that's not a way to win a title, is it? Let's be fair.
Liverpool will get 2 or 3. Man United will get 1. That's for certain.
Yeah. Ab says, if Man City are relegated, Chelsea will spend $1 billion to buy their players as their squad needs bolstering.
Probably right. Probably right.
Yeah, they would. They'd go in, no doubt about it. And they'd get away with it. Of course they would. Man United are £1 billion in debt. How's that sustainable? That's the big question, isn't it? That is a huge question. How are they sustainable
because
when they're £1 billion in debt?
Every Man United fan says the same thing. They go, oh, but it's because our revenues are so high, we can operate it in such a fashion. Yeah, okay, but it's still ridiculous. It's a different set of rules for you. It's still dangerous. If an issue happens with the revenue, you're in copious amounts of debt, and it's an enormous problem. If there's suddenly a big scandal and a bunch of revenue stops coming in, what are you going to do then?
Good point. Yep, very good point. Steve says, I agree with that, but then I'd also be happy to win a cup through every other team getting relegated. Just to get us a cup, absolutely. I mean, just to put us on the honours board would be nice. But then again, would you, or would you like to see us win it with a bit of, win it properly?
I'd like us to win it properly. Like
everybody would turn around and say, well, you didn't really win it. You lost the final, so you can't win it. I mean...
we don't want to win on a technicality.
It's a technicality, exactly. So, that's... I mean, Liverpool fans, or certainly Man United fans, will lap it up if they get a title because of Manchester City. But there you go. Mark Davison says, take 100 points over 3 seasons, make it impossible for them to win anything. No incoming transfers for those 3 seasons. I mean, could they be hit with an embargo? I don't know. Are they allowed to give more than one punishment? Relegated down 3 divisions and a transfer embargo for 3 years. You've got to play your academy.
I'm not sure they would be that bad. Their academy's fantastic as well.
Well, exactly. I mean, they'd probably beat a lot of teams outside of the Premier League, let's be honest. Even
if they had to promote 5 or 6 academy prospects, they could still finish inside the top 6 or 7, I would imagine. They've got a great team.
Yeah. We just have to keep an eye on it and see what comes of it, but I'm sure it'll be a talking point at some stage. But there you go, guys. That is it for tonight. Thank you very, very much for watching. Some interesting discussions tonight, as it always is when we just open it up for just a general Newcastle United chat and a football chat. We will be back, of course, at 7 o'clock tomorrow night with the match preview. Fulham, 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. You can get full commentary of that game on the Toon Review from 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. We can't wait. Hopefully, we will see a good performance and a lot of goals in our favour. However, 3 points would still be very nice, no matter how we get it. But maybe not on the roller coaster that we've been on for a while now, because that doesn't do mine or Billy's blood pressure very good in commentary at all, to be fair. So let's hope it's a straightforward victory. But thank you for your super chats. Thank you for new memberships, etc. Mods, cracking job yet again. Thank you for all you do. And of course, thank you to Alex and Billy. But the main thanks to you guys. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. And hopefully you'll all be back tomorrow. Don't forget to give it the thumbs up before you leave. And of course, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Free to do so. Make sure you hit the bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. But we will be back at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Don't miss it. It is the preview. But until then, good night.
How are the lads and lasses?
Come back and check on some green.